Right now, somewhere in your body, your heart rate just spiked. Maybe you checked a notification you were dreading. Maybe you replayed something you said yesterday. Maybe nothing happened at all and your mind still found a reason to worry. You call this anxiety. You treat it like a malfunction. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Your anxiety is not broken. It is ancient. And it was never built for the world you live in now. To understand why, you need to go back 300,000 years to the open grasslands of East Africa. Your ancestors lived there in small bands, exposed, with almost no protection. No walls, no locks, no streetlights. Every rustle in the grass could be wind, or it could be a predator with teeth long enough to end your bloodline in seconds. In that world, a brain that worried constantly was not a liability. It was a survival advantage. Psychologist Randolph Nessa, one of the founders of evolutionary medicine, has spent decades studying why so-called negative emotions persist across every human population on Earth. His answer reframes anxiety completely. Fear and anxiety are not malfunctions of an otherwise perfect system. They are smoke detectors, and smoke detectors are built to be oversensitive on purpose. Think about what a smoke detector actually does. It goes off for burnt toast. It goes off for steam. It is wrong, far more often than it is right. But the cost of a false alarm is a few seconds of annoyance. The cost of a missed real fire is your house and possibly your life. Nessie argues your anxiety response works on the exact same logic. Evolution does not optimize for accuracy. It optimizes for survival. A brain that sounds the alarm too often will irritate you. A brain that fails to sound the alarm even once might kill you. Across millions of years, only the irritating brain survived to pass on their genes. That is why your anxiety overreacts. It is not a bug. It is the design. But the story gets stranger when you look at where in your body this alarm actually lives. Deep inside your skull, on either side, sit two almond-shaped clusters of neurons called the amygdala. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent much of his career mapping exactly how this structure works. What he found changed how scientists understood fear forever. The amygdala does not wait for your conscious mind to evaluate a threat. It acts first and asks questions later. Information from your eyes and ears travels to the amygdala through a fast, crude pathway before it ever reaches the parts of your brain responsible for careful reasoning. Ledoux called this the low road. It is fast, it is imprecise, and it does not care if it is wrong. Your slower, more accurate thinking brain, the one that could tell you it was just your neighbor's cat in the bushes, does not even get a vote until milliseconds later. This is why you can feel afraid before you understand why. You jump at a shadow. Your pulse spikes before you've consciously registered the shape that startled you. That gap between feeling and understanding is not confusion. It is the most efficient survival system evolution could build with the materials it had. And once that alarm fires, your body does not respond gently. A cascade begins. Your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline within seconds. Your heart rate climbs. Your pupils dilate to gather more visual information. Blood flow redirects away from digestion and toward your major muscle groups. Researcher Walter Cannon named this the fight or flight response back in the early 20th century, and the basic mechanism he describes still holds up. Your body is preparing to run from a predator or fight for your life. Every system not immediately useful for that goal gets temporarily shut down. This made perfect sense on the savannah. A burst of physical readiness in response to a genuine physical threat is exactly what kept your ancestors alive long enough to reproduce. Here's the problem. Your body cannot tell the difference between a lion in the grass and an unread email from your boss. The amygdala does not check your calendar. It does not know what a deadline is. It does not understand that the thing threatening you is a notification on a screen, not a set of teeth. It simply detects a pattern that resembles danger and fires the same ancient alarm your ancestors needed to survive an actual predator. Cortisol floods your system. Your heart rate rises, your muscles tense, ready to run or fight an enemy that does not physically exist. And then there is nowhere to put that energy. Your ancestor who heard a threatening sound in the grass had an outlet. They ran. They fought. They used the cortisol and adrenaline the way the system intended, and once the threat passed, their body returned to baseline. You do not get that release. You sit in a chair, you stare at a screen. The chemical surge has nowhere to go, so it lingers, circulating through a body that has nothing to physically do with it. This mismatch has a name in evolutionary psychology. Researchers call it evolutionary mismatch, and anxiety may be one of its clearest examples. Your hardware was built for a world of immediate physical danger. Your software is now running in a world of chronic, abstract, social, and financial threats that never fully resolve. The lion eventually leaves or kills you, and either way, the uncertainty ends. The looming deadline, the uncertain relationship, the financial worry, these threats can persist for weeks or months, keeping your ancient alarm system activated long after it would have shut off in the environment it evolved for. There is another layer to this, and it might be the strangest part. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy and others studying hunter-gatherer societies have noted how deeply social human survival actually was. You did not just fear predators, you feared exclusion. Being cast out of your group on the savannah was not a social inconvenience. It was a near certain death sentence. No human survived alone out there for long, which means your brain evolved to treat social rejection with almost the same intensity as physical danger. This explains something that might feel oddly disproportionate in your own life. Why does an unanswered text message create real physical anxiety? Why does public speaking trigger a fight or flight response stronger than many actual physical threats you'll face this year? Your brain is not overreacting randomly. It is running 300,000-year-old code that equates social standing with literal survival. Because for most of human history, that equation was accurate. Knowing this does not make the anxiety disappear, but it does change what the anxiety means. The racing heart before a presentation is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that an ancient detection system, built across hundreds of thousands of years to keep your ancestors alive, is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It just doesn't know that the modern world replaced lions with deadlines and predators with passive-aggressive emails. Some researchers, including psychiatrist Randolph Nisi, suggest the goal is not to eliminate this system. You cannot delete millions of years of evolutionary programming, and trying to suppress it entirely tends to backfire. The more useful goal is recognizing the alarm for what it is, a smoke detector that cannot tell the difference between burnt toast and a house fire. Once you know that, you can ask the question your ancestors never needed to ask. Is this actually a lion, or is it just toast? Right now, your heart rate might have changed while listening to this. Maybe you thought of your own deadline, your own unanswered message, your own version of the rustling grass. That response did not come from a flaw in your design. It came from 300,000 years of ancestors who survived long enough to give you a brain that refuses to stop watching for danger, even when the danger stopped looking like a lion a very long time ago.